morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. Welcome back to Brothers with Voices, episode 5. Um, Before I introduce this topic and introduce where it's coming from, I would like to ask these two guys how they are doing, how they fared during the week. Kudzi, how was your week? How was life, bro?
My week was great. Really, really great. But see, how was your week with your wife?
No.
Shit.
Yes, yeah, now she gets. No, my week was dope. Man. My week was dope. I had a really relaxed weekend. I think, yeah. But the week was chilled. But don't you go man in life, or is it? You get into a certain cycle and just keep doing what you're doing. So yeah, it was a good week. Yeah, and my wife is fine.
Yeah.
No, we're trying to set the pace because we know, the wife is a very integral part of your
Yes.
life
Yeah,
right now. So,
of my
so
opinions.
of your
Yeah.
opinions too, and we like it because she also was with us in the journey of Brothers with Voices when we started, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And you see,
Yeah,
that's the cool thing about this thing is that it's growing with us. Right?
yeah, yeah.
As we move through our stages in lives and our opinions are changing, and our minds are developing. Tukungo and Anacho, I love this concept. It's dope.
Nice, nice.
Sakachachi mwana chaogara manje paibe chaogara ere
Yeah,
mwana
ciao,
Chaka.
cara, man. Ciao, ciao,
chaogara.
cara.
Okay,
Yeah.
atofara mukuchengetedza mwana saka.
Chakutgatade.
Ah, good,
Now that we have got the greetings out of the way, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to comment. Tell us how your week was. Tell us how the troubles you experienced, whether it was work, personal, social. Please feel free to share as well how your week was. We would like to also know how you guys were doing. Now, if you remember last week, we were discussing a very big topic on
Mm,
managing societal pressure, right?
yeah.
So, one of the biggest pressures we covered, sorry, Pane mosquito. The one of the pressures we covered in with us growing as brothers with voices was under drug abuse, right? Substance abuse, and through that we decided to develop this topic further and actually get into something, well, let me say a little bit more deeper about substance abuse. So if you remember, we talked about the causes, we talked about where it comes from, where it stems from, but now I want to just get into solving it, what issues are around it now on a deeper level. So please bear in mind, if you're offended, please keep watching. If you're not offended, also keep watching. But to kick this right off the bat, right? To kick this right off the bat, I will just give you a simple introduction as to how this topic is going to go, how this conversation is going to go. So I wrote something down. Okay, it's a quote, and I wrote it down, and I feel like it's something that's going to build up as we dive into the episode. So listen close, gentlemen. Substance abuse is a rising global problem associated with medical, psychiatric, family, occupational, legal, political, financial, and spiritual problems, right?
Mhm.
Recovery is an important area of consideration in occupational therapies' quest to promote health and well being, right? So, this basic conversation today is going to explore the journey of recovery from substance abuse among young adult Zimbabwean men. So, I know that we've got a lot of ladies that watch the show, but this conversation is going to be more directed to the guys because through my research as I'm moderating it, I've realized that men are the ones who are mostly affected by this. So the first question to start this show off, I'm going to direct it to Kudzai. My name is Kudzai. Why is substance?
Yeah, that's how he says it. Yeah,
That's how he
that's
says it,
actually how
right?
he says it.
So the
Yeah,
first question,
Kudzai.
Kudzi, to you is why is substance abuse rife in young men in Zimbabwe today? Why is it so big? Why is it, why has it grown from the last time we spoke about it?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on how it has grown now in Zim?
Well, so it's a mechanism to. I've seen a lot of people talk about substance abuse and like, you must stop it, you must stop it. But then let's look at the root cause. Our young man in Zim right now, maybe when they're using it, they're going through a lot, man. That whole when we talk about men are not being given space, they're being told to be strong and stuff. Yeah. So then for them being strong, they need something to make them strong. They need something for them to cope. You know, if you don't have a job, I've been in that situation where you don't have a job and you're sleeping in your blankets in the morning. You take a late, you wake up late, and you because you don't have a job, you stay in bed late, and you're just depressed, man. You know, you're just depressed. You don't have anything. You don't, especially when you see that you don't have a sense of purpose right now that you can serve. It's just difficult, man. So normally they would go to using that, and because that passes time. So the whole thing with drug abuse is it passes time. So you're gonna forget about whatever you're gonna forget about. You're just gonna, roll with life. You're probably gonna feel happy for some time, and then, it's gonna wear off. So, but just that forgetting maybe is an escape that our young boys are facing right now, which is really caused by unemployment. It's really caused by a lot of stress in the family. It's really caused by a lot of things, family issues. It's really caused by just being different. Just being different and being not understood. You can just go into it, man. And it's a coping mechanism anywhere around the world right now. That's why they've even legalized marijuana. There's now medicinal marijuana. People can not only smoke marijuana, some people are taking pills and some people are taking edibles. And a lot of people are doing that right now because of even the pandemic. So you can even imagine now back in Zim where people cannot really afford the road drugs, so they can now go to the lowest of the lowest drugs. I don't know the ones that they're taking right now.
I go on.
The Brongo and stuff. So
no, we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah. So because of like affordability became and the problems, you look for something that can cater for what you're feeling that in that point. I guess that's what I can say when it comes to that, Chris.
Fair enough. But I mean, building on what Kudzi just said, right? Kudzi mentioned that there are a lot of pressures that our young men are facing, us young men are facing constantly, whether be it social hardships, economic hardships, political hardships, unemployment, you name it, the whole shabam, right? You realize that the higher majority of our our generation and the younger generation as well, because they are actually part of the people who are taking these drugs, probably even more than us, right? We don't do drugs as brothers with voices, by the way.
Hey,
look, so
good
I mean,
disclaimer. Good disclaimer.
when you then look at it, I mean, Batsy, when you look at the environment itself, would you agree to the fact that it is promoting drug abuse, number one? Number two, do you believe there is a sense of individuals in this world who are in Zimbabwe who have decided that, I'd rather profit off this particular problem because these kids don't have an option? They can do big in our partner because abana ndoba nebhegirese tongotsvaga mari vakafa zvinene type of situation. What are your thoughts on the environment and also the sellers of these drugs?
I think, I mean, your question almost answers itself because you're looking at a situation where you've got an economic and a political higihaga that's going on in Zimbabwe. Krinkum krankum, so everything everything is a bit in the air, so that environment by itself, because like Kudzi was saying, people don't have jobs, they don't want to do on a daily basis, so you don't have any structure of what people are supposed to be doing. So that immediately creates idle minds, bro. Idle minds. You've got a situation where people aren't doing anything. So they're going to experiment. They're going to find out, oh, snap, there's actually this. You could spend your time doing this. And also the stress factor is also in there. So yeah, the environment is very conducive for people doing whatever they want and indulging in things like this if they're exposed to those things, whatever drugs you're talking about. And then on the same side, that's what I'm saying, batana. There are people who obviously, like, how politics is in Zimbabwe. These people accuse these people of paying these kids name somebody and bronco could noise, the political atmosphere is also very conducive for using youngsters, using our youth, using people who are addicted to certain drugs. Because those people, something, don't buy $20 or don't kutengera ibrongo racho motosvika kumarali makatobatwa, so it's conducive for that. So the political atmosphere, the economic atmosphere, everything, it's still culminating into this big mushroom explosion of just drug abuse, and there's no solution for it, which is really, really sad. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. That's why I said your question answers itself, because both those things that you mentioned are very big contributing factors to drug abuse right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Fair enough. Thanks for that. Now, I know like this still part of segment one. We're gonna get into segment two and segment three, right? So I know I've been hearing. I mean, I haven't been home since I left, which is quite unfortunate, of course. But I hear there's this big drug, the methamphetamine, Toriro, right?
Myth.
Um, Meth, yeah, right. I had to use
How
the
does it
scientific
come
term.
from meta
Breaking Bad,
whatever to
crystal meth.
Torito? How does it
I don't even know how they
jump?
came up with this name, bro. Like, I don't know how they came up with
Mtoriro
this
team, now you're saying drugs that I don't know, bro,
This
which
is
is
what-
fine.
It's okay.
Zika meta something in Dom Torito.
Methamphetamine, yeah, something like
Don't
that.
you
I don't know.
Breaking Bad guy? Those
There you
chemicals.
go,
they make
there you go, Dara White.
yeah, Walter White.
Yeah. So I hear that has become a really prominent drug. Like I know even back when I was there, people were smoking weed. Bronco was still there.
Yeah.
Alcohol, of course, was still being sold, and of course, cocaine. Hupu, why it's all sneaking behind, the meth and everything like that. And from my research, I've realized that because I've read multiple articles as well. I'm not going to reference them. I'm sorry about that, but I've read a lot of articles that people, these kids prefer meth more than cocaine because meth makes them more apparently awake. Like there was this one kid who was talking about he was awake for 7 days straight without sleep, and he managed to do a
Bruh.
lot of tasks. I'm like, why do you want to be awake for 7 days, bro? I need sleep after at least 4 hours in my day. Like I need a nap. You know what I mean?
I need a
Why do you-
nap.
I need
No,
a
that's because you.
nap 4 hours into my day, right? 4 hours into my day, I'm like, yo, I think I need a nap at this point. These kids are talking about I was awake for 7 days straight. Doing what? Nothing for 7 days straight. Doing what? Nothing productive. Sticker. Team music. So apparently they rent out my single rooms in different areas where they rent out single rooms. So single room is like $12, right? For the week for the week. Boys, you blast your beats, you hit your drugs for the whole week. Now, my question is driving at, right, is really on the effects of such an environment where these kids, because now, I mean, when I was reading about this, these kids are drugs, they're starting from the ages of 21, 19, thereabouts. And I'm like, what effects does it have now on in terms of your family? Because they don't have money, they don't have income, they don't have jobs. So obviously varotengesa maradio mumba matv mumba kana vangwani mabasa munhu aroti achibva kubasa arungoenda straight pakaroom kake netboys vakutorova. The legal side of things, like they will probably get arrested. What are your thoughts on this, Kudzi? Actually, let's go back to Batsi on this one. What are your thoughts on this, Kudzi? This particular drug, this meth itself, being the most prominent drug right now in Zim, how do you feel like it is affecting our youths, like to progress in life?
I think the main issue with hard drugs like that is that I don't think we expected them to jump into Zim so easily or so quickly. When you're not surrounded, or when you're not in it, in the know, you think there's no such thing as meth and Zim. But when you start talking to the right people and if you get involved in those spheres, you will see such drugs, such hard drugs are actually rampant in the country. Type app. So, but I think the issue is there's this element of naivety that there are no drugs. So stamping down on them may not be a priority. But I feel like I know the authorities would probably go in hard on anameth and all those things, but because they'll probably be more concerned about Bronco and Mbanje and stuff like that, because that's what the majority of people who are indulging in drugs are going to be doing. But meth is a little bit more specific and not as many people are doing. So I don't think they'll be as pressured, or they would pressure themselves to clamp down on it as much, which is really sad, I think. But again, this is my opinion. I'm actually not too sure. Maybe there's Operation Remove Meth from the streets. I don't know, but it's because I'm not in the know as to how deep it's actually infiltrated the youth system and the kids nowadays. I'm actually not too sure how deep that is, though.
It's crazy.
Okay, Batsy, hold on, sorry. I'm actually going to ask you this question, and then you build from what Batsy just said, because I want you to also answer this question. Do you think our law enforcement is educated enough, or they take the time to educate themselves enough, or to focus on these narcotics and say, look, our narcotics division, we are gonna try and put a stamp down on this, on these drugs? Like, what are they like? Do you feel like they have enough education on this nonsense?
Yes and no. Yes and
they also use it, bro.
I'm saying yes and no. I'm saying yes and no. I agree, but I disagree. Yes, I think they're fully educated, they know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But variko to stress or good stress or bad
same thing.
Don't stress so what go eat or you eat or no. It's the environment, bro. The environment is playing a big role in everyone just using these drugs, bro.
And you would really be surprised with the people supplying them.
Yeah.
You would be really surprised with the people supplying them, because there are a lot of people supplying them right now that are very powerful.
Exactly.
So they can't be touched. They can't be touched, man. The big people supplying these things around, like the medicinal ones, because it's money, right? It's money, and it's big business. It's a big business, I tell you. Even the importation of Bronco, I've seen some people, delayed by the border, but then I don't really believe in our system that even when they were taken, they were, where do the authorities even take them? You know what I mean? They can just take them and put them back in the system. Yeah, but where does the Bronco yakasungwa yacho inoenda kupi?
Inopinda system,
system, So I mean, there's a whole feeding system of people that are even supplying them. And we haven't really found out a way to really properly get those people. We're really fighting on the people that are using them on the streets. Yeah. So I guess the more emphasis we put on the people supplying them, and the more emphasis of people like we put on the people that are supposed to create industries for these people to go to work, the better. You can't just tell people to don't use drugs, just stay at home.
But wait, Kasha, my comrade, because you don't act like you don't know this. Not here. Here we don't do that. Here we don't touch that stuff.
Yeah.
But in most countries, there's several occupations. It's also, even when you talk about they don't have jobs. Even most people here with high level jobs, they do these drugs. They take cocaine, particularly crack is a big drug out here, bro. Not here where I am, but out there. It's a big drug out there. It's a very big drug that a lot of, especially people in law, people in investments, in the stock. I'm sure you guys watched Wolf of Wall Street. That stuff is real. You know what I mean? That is not fake. Those guys take those drugs. So
it's not essentially about that. So the reason why you were asking that is also because why are the guys taking the drugs right now? It's because and of course there's a different tier to it. You will never see them eating cocaine on the streets. They cannot afford it. So cocaine, ecstasy, cocaine, ecstasy, and whatever. it's got a niche of people that are, people that don't want to
Yeah.
sleep. Like cocaine, I know of a lot of people that don't want to sleep, so they want to work throughout the night and stuff, so they take cocaine. And I know of a couple of people that want, that go to those hippie joints, and then they want ecstasy to give them more energy and stuff. But that shit is expensive, man. Like you need to be working really hard to get that money, because you won't be able to sustain the lifestyle. So that also comes with stress. We're going to talk about that. But if I'm going to talk about something that really affects people back home, cocaine affects people that stay across Zamora. Across Zamora, we know of a few people
In the north.
Yes, in the north.
But
people
not
take
even
cocaine.
what are you talking about? Even on the other side of Samora, it's there.
Ah,
I will even tell you the
Which
price.
is a
$12
$12 you can get a decent bump. What are you talking about, boss? Is
Ah,
there
Hey, don't
the
give
ghetto?
out information, but
But then it's a conversation, because I did my research today, gentlemen. I did my research, gentlemen. Urigo iwe pafio apa uripo andizia kuti ndianotengesa but uri uko
anenge ari bozva ke. I think if you're
exactly.
able
Chero,
to,
yatachitaura yeCrystal Methi,
Yeah.
Methi. In skies, bro. Like I know it is there. Like
It's
they're
there.
there.
But guys, how many I can even I will send you YouTube videos
Yeah.
of guys who were interviewing kids in Mbiles, Mbare, Fio, Glenview, Kwadzana. They're actually getting it in those areas. So it's not something that it's focused in the northern suburbs alone. I think it's everywhere. And of course, I won't lie, even my research says the highest consumers of these drugs are actually private schools, mostly.
Yeah.
Kids who go to private schools or don't get to northern suburbs. You're very right about that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's also rampant and it affects more. And it
Vanenge vane mari ke. Vanenge vane mari. Hautengi usina mari.
It affects vasina mari more because havana mari yekuzoita the rehab stuff, like to manage it or to control it or know how to take it, because they're not educated enough with the maintain or say, right? Because there's no they don't bother going to the internet. Vakangorova chinhu akatora kafluorescent kake kafluorescent bulb wakapwanya wakati kanotengeswa $1 by the way, wobva wanhingirikira wobva warova drug rako handiti anenge ambokudza kuti chinhu ichi ukachirova unonhingirikira unotadza kurara ndiani. Nobody will tell you that. They don't have the information to go and research that online, right? So definitely I can say it's on both sides, but our fun at least that was the effect kwavari, because they know how to manage it. They've got the information, they've got the internet access, they research these things compared with our fun with ghetto. You get what I mean?
I think also just on that one, you brought up something really important, Panya, rehab. There's that people will stay in a certain rut because there's no way of getting out of it. So like you're looking at, if you're fortunate to be coming from a family that's a bit more well off and you want to change your ways, there's means and ways for you to get out of it. I mean, six step how to get out of addiction, all that stuff is there. So
wow.
But those things need money and those need time and persistence. That's not something that's going to be afforded, and commitment. And that's something that's not going to be afforded to apana wekughetto mdara maghetto youth anenge achingonzi ndozvazviri. No one gives a damn about what's going on in their lives, but ndokuri kufeedwa madrugs ese whether they're the expensive ones or the cheap ones. There's that rehabilitation, it's not there for
exactly.
It's very classist. It's very, very classist.
Okay. So thank you, Bati, for bringing that up, because I was about to move to segment 2. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, wow. Okay, that was a powerful segment 1 for this episode. The debates are strong. Now he knows. You're now educated. You're welcome, brother. But see, cocaine as well is there. $12. Anyways, but see, I need you to start getting engaged. I feel like this is more of your thing. Listen. Hold on.
But this is right down your alley.
This is your alley, because I think with everything we've been building with Brothers with Voices, personally, I've realized that you have a logical idea to a lot of stuff, right?
Okay.
So this first question on segment 2 is now very much directed to you, which is really on the key efforts on fighting the drugs in our communities, right? So we know that we've got law enforcement, we've got family and friends intervention, we've got information dissemination, we've got, the job, you get a job, or drugs, maybe, hopefully. We have rehab centers which are non-active, right? So in that line, what do you think is the best way to start building awareness to drugs? What is the best way to start building on kids understanding that drugs are very detrimental to drugs are very detrimental to their lives? What would you say in terms of building on that? Looking at also the factors that I mentioned, which are law enforcement, family and friends, occupational, society. Could you can take up kana but I just stick him my drugs and those are and then and then and then and then we go from there. How's that?
Oh,
Let's try
nah,
that.
what's my name? All right, so that's a fully loaded question. How I see it, and
Yeah.
is that um, let me break down the problems that you spoke about, like economic or political. The issue
Mhm.
with drugs is that there's a double-edged sword effect to it.
Mhm.
When you are in rampant poverty and economic strife and political, instability and the likes, drugs will become an escape from that, right? And then you're looking at a situation where even if things were okay, right, the availability of drugs now becomes a lot easier. So
Yeah.
either way, it's going to be there. So I can't really. I'm not saying that we should stay in poverty or things should be okay, but or whatever the case may be. Yes, things should get better in Zim, but I'm just saying the situation you're looking at a place where we can't we can't stand up and say if we fix things in the economy, drugs will stop being a problem. No, drugs will continue being a problem. So that I'm going to put aside. You had brought it up. Second thing was the EMA rehabilitation. I think that's a really, really important one. Um, it's I hate the way African countries, Zim, all these countries are so dependent on foreign aid. We should be able to fix our own issues by ourselves, right? So if we know and we should care enough to fix those issues. So you look at a situation where we know that there are drugs. Vanhu vakuziva kuti kunothengeswa hupfu kunothengeswa apo $12. Vanhu vakuziva kuti ukaenda padheni parasta apo ukauya neka $5 kako unopiwa 300 grams chimonera chibobobo. Like we all know what's going on in the areas, but we don't care enough to do anything about it. So I
Yeah.
think it comes back to the society that we're living in and people giving a damn about things. Because right now people are too worried about, yeah, okay, fine. People are too worried about trying to get more food and money for the next day, and we don't give a damn about those issues. So I think the society needs to now change its mindset and say, no, no, this is actually a big deal. And it's affecting generations upon generations upon generations. Because ukaramba uri rombe uchingorwa madrugs, uchangoramba uri rombe. You won't get out of that cycle. And that's going to affect you, your children, because of course you're going to have kids. I don't know why, but you're gonna have kids. And you're gonna have kids. Those kids are marombe as well, So we're creating a cycle of just this dependence on drugs, and it's not going to stop until we stand up and say, no, no, no. What are we going to do about this? So these rehabilitation centers are very important because it gets your mindset out of this is bad. It's not something that I have to do so that I stay normal in my head. No, this is wrong. So those stages of rehabilitation, that's contemplation, which no, say, what can I do to get out of this rut? And then move to the next stage where I am maintaining and terminating this drug abuse. So I think the rehabilitation center is something that we need to put emphasis on as people. But as Zimbabweans, as us, we need to start making active moves to fixing our own issues.
Thank you so much for that, Kuzidori. This one is not coming to you. We're building on what Bati said. As I mentioned earlier, he's a little bit more logical than me. So I'm building on what Bati said.
A little bit.
Okay, slightly
I'll take
more.
I'll take a little bit. I'll take a little bit.
Just take it and leave me alone.
I'll take it.
So, but see, you're talking specifically on the rehab centers, right? As
Yeah.
far as I did my research today, and the past couple of days, I realized that the Narcotics Anonymous and the Alcoholic Anonymous platforms are not as active as they should be. They're not, right? Rehab centers right now, there are no governmental rehab centers helping kids really as proficient. I mean, I know that we're not funding it. We say go at the moment for so many reasons I don't want to get into.
Unofana
Right?
kuitwa hospital. Mfana
Exactly.
OD and then go to the hospital. But even in the hospital, the system is so
Yeah.
poor that hapana rehabilitation.
So could to direct it to you now, because these systems are close to non-existent, and the rehab centers now are only private. I know of one in Highlands. It's a very big one, and you know it's private. It's very expensive, right? So which means that it's only going to cater to the rich and vanemari to make sure aenda or their brother aenda or their sister aenda go and all that stuff. What are your thoughts? How, as a community, can we build on caring enough, right, to make sure that these societies start prospering and become better in terms of supporting these organizations to cater to our brethren in terms of kicking the habit, pretty much?
Yeah, that's a very big question, man. And I mean, taking it on from what Mati said, we don't have enough resources to do that currently. Like I've seen that we're capable, but we don't have, like especially for the ghetto child that is suffering through this. We also need to look at two things too. Rehab, the way it's said, no one really wants to go to rehab, bro. No.
Unless if you want to, I'll debate that.
No one wants to, because now look at it from this point. It's drug abuse. Then they're just drug users. Maybe they don't abuse it. You know what I mean?
All right.
You got people out there like
people that are like, why do
I
need
where's
to?
the balance? Where's the balance? Say good you abuse. How do you know you're abusing and you're not abusing? How do you know?
It's really illegal. You're abusing.
Yes.
Period.
So that's how we take it. But then we put that, it's illegal, but we did not put measures now to say if it's illegal. Or okay, if it gets to this point, then what do we do? You know what I mean? It just said everything was like it's illegal. Yeah. But there's some people that just use it, and if you go to them, really, it's not like we're gonna go to them and grab them and say, let's go to rehab. Rehab needs you to cooperate as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's about checking the root cause of why you're taking it. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Okay. I see. Yeah, I agree.
I don't even think sometimes we even need to go to rehab. You're gonna be told the same things, just like going to therapy. You're gonna be told the same things. But what is the reason you're taking? Why?
Yeah, but how are you gonna find out what the reason is without
going to rehab?
Yes. So now that's why I'm talking about it. Yes, it's like therapy. Yes, but then
it is
you're also dealing with someone that has not gone to rehab. So how are you going to do that? So I'm talking about a stage before rehab, because not everyone is going to go to rehab. I'm talking about a stage before rehab.
Stage pre-contemplation. This where you don't think you have a problem. And you haven't thought about it. You haven't thought of. You're just using, and you're
for you to be an addict, bro. You don't want to go to I'm an addict.
Yeah. Also, let's bring it to something that we would all kind of like understand. We all drink here, right? So like you drink, right? And you don't think you have a problem of drinking. How many times have either of you woken up in the morning after a bad hangover and said, I'm not doing this again. I'm not drinking.
I do that every 3 days, but what are you talking about?
That's what so you're no longer pre-contemplation. What about contemplation?
I do that every 3 days.
You just haven't actioned it.
But
the hangover is 3 days long on hangover for my
and then you say I'm never going to drink again.
Yeah. Kudzi, you're saying something, tell me.
I'm still stuck on that, because I don't want us to say let's go to rehab at the end of this
No, that's not going to be the solution.
because
No.
because or like what I'm saying is rehab works for people that can pay for it.
True.
What about people that cannot pay for it?
I've
You know
got an
what I
answer
mean?
for that.
They can't pay for it, but of course
Give us the
it's
answer.
very hypocritical because they can pay for. I was quite shocked that because they don't have money, they still pay for a line for $12. I mean, yeah,
Imagine.
but I mean, how are we going to get from people that are addicted right now on the streets to counseling them? That's why I was thinking we need I think we're talking about this as Brothers with Voices. We need like a road show, you know?
To educate.
Awareness.
Yeah.
So you're talking about awareness. You're talking about awareness.
So where you speak to each and every person. So we need a certain research right now because you can't put a seminar. Let's go to rehab. No, we have different drugs in the society right now. Let's do a rehab. Let's look at all the students that are studying, psychology or counseling, whatever. Let's put them in the streets. Let's get them to get the database of people that are actually taking these drugs and why they take them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Why they take them. There, we can now see how best we can now deal with certain people because it's very hard, bro. Look, some people take it and they accept. And they accept, bro. And it's not abuse to them. Some people are going through a lot of, from this depression, anxiety, and stuff. Some people say it helps me with that. What are you gonna do when you go to that person that says, "I know, I'm actually okay.
I'm good. Thanks.
I'm actually thank you."
Look, I agree with you. That is a big scope as Brothers with Voices that we have. Same thing how we talk about them Brothers with Voices that we definitely want a mental health clinic that can cater for people, right? We want that, definitely. But when we want to go back down to the grassroots of to help to start building the problem, Batsi mentioned something about caring enough as a community, as a society. Is also in our culture tinotaura nyaya yekuti mwana haarerwe nevabereki chete anorerwa necommunity.
Yes.
Ndosaka tizoti even moms vepamusika techiti moms because vanotoziva unhu hwako ukapfuura nemusikana vanoziva kuti wapfuura nemusikana uyu nhasi ukapfuura uri soba vanoziva kuti wapfuura uri soba ukapfuura uri wakadhakwa vanoziva kuti wapfuura wakadhakwa ukabuda uri high vanoziva kuti wapfuura uri high vanotokutsiura kuti no, this behavior is wrong, don't do this. So as Batsi said, we need to start caring first of all. So I know that a lot of people have siblings out here, whether you're an only child and you're the one who's abusing. Remember that kind of we my siblings, friends, or whatever. I believe that from grassroots level, you are the ones who are supposed to show that care and actually start and say to your friend or your brother or your sister or your cousin and be like, Sha, I think you have a problem. I think you have a problem that we need to handle. I think you're abusing drugs or you're abusing alcohol, and we need to find a solution for that. Because obviously, a lot of these kids can't afford rehab. That's the truth. No matter how much we can talk about rehab, nobody is able enough. Because as you said, Kudzi, people are looking to pay for the next meal rather than paying kuti mwana atenge sa radio nazi kuti atenge $12 wekurowa ubesa mumino make. It's going to be difficult. So it starts from that point where the father sees the kid is doing this. Beat that child, for example. You don't do corporal punishment. Beat him.
Beat that child.
Beat that child.
No spanky.
No spanky. We beat. And that's our culture. We beat. Disciplinary committee is necessary. And what have that conversation. If beating doesn't work, have that conversation. With somebody. This does not work. Show him that. I mean, there's so much. Yeah, but there are certain circumstances whereby we're not going to over a bedroom for 3 days sober so that you can talk to them. You have to go to extremes. I wouldn't want my kid to die from overdose. Hell no. I'd rather lock him in the room with suffer him withdrawal symptoms, and then we deal with the withdrawal symptoms rather than an overdose. That's the truth. And no parent wants their kid to die from drug overdose. So as I said, for me, it always starts in the grassroots. Yes, awareness is necessary, but let's start from the grassroots. The family, friends, community needs to care enough for these kids.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I agree with you with both of you because I feel like you're looking at it just from different angles, but you're all serving the same purpose. I don't think there is a situation where one solution is the only solution that should be implemented. You're
Yeah.
looking at everything should start at grassroots, because that's a more of a preventative approach that we're taking if
To
we're
know
talking about
why.
from grassroots. Know why not to do things exactly. Then but because he's coming from the real place where what you didn't get the information this you shouldn't do this, or you got it and you ignored it, and we need to get you out of that state. So you've got your prevention, you've got your rehabilitation, then you've got one Watonyura Dara who you cannot help, where you're not
Fair,
just taking
fair.
care of Watonyura. So I think there's 3 stages to it. The information stage is that prevention stage. So it's almost like we're going to how rigorous and how hard Zim went on HIV when every advert, every 10 minutes, every 20 minutes, there was an advert speaking about HIV and AIDS and how preventative,
You should
just
condomize, yeah.
condomize or prevent, that information overload was there,
Yeah.
because they realize that this is a big problem. That comes back to what Chris is saying, that we should actually give a damn. If this was an issue, there would be adverts on it. There would be people, talking about it. There'd be people in the streets educating people on why this is wrong.
Yeah,
But we
right.
don't
But
have-
see, I used to see people on the streets giving out flyers for HIV
yeah,
and stuff like that.
exactly.
But on the information booths, testing
The
centers,
problem is just
they made
serious.
straight up.
Yeah.
Drugs are not
Because,
safe.
That's
you
what I'm
see, the
saying.
problem is
Because but I'm not
HIV
looking at
came,
what is there?
HIV came and scared people. It really scared people.
Also, you can't make money off HIV.
You can't make money off it.
drugs.
I mean, the
Exactly.
pharmaceutical companies are, but okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
but-
how can you open like on the cheap musika to
Kutengesa ama-ARV.
All right, andiziva kuti ma-ARV anoita mari izvo ipapo
I know.
ndazoteka
But
yeah,
no,
that's what I'm
no,
saying.
they're for free. They're for free. But look, the thing is this, right?
People need to give it time.
People have enhancers, right? People have enhancers. If you really look at people right now, some people are not, like I was talking about marijuana. Some people are not smoking it, but they're taking it through a pure or because they're saying, I can't sleep, so I'll do this. And people are taking something these days.
Yeah.
And if you really look at it, maybe I'll just talk about where I am right now. I think cannabis stores, because here we can buy cannabis from the store, from the shop.
Because it's legal, right?
Bro, the amount of cannabis stores that have been opened since COVID started, the amount of stores,
It's money, bro.
crazy,
Money. They're
crazy,
making
man.
money. What do you think they legalized weed so they can control and get that money? Because
Yes.
the informal market of weed was making sheets by
Yes.
itself,
Okay.
and the government wasn't eating it.
So now let's
Okay.
move to Zim. Let's move to Zim, right?
Same thing.
So a lot of people are benefiting from this industry.
Yeah.
A lot of people. A lot of
And I
people are
work
now,
right.
oh man, they're selling it. They're selling it. And now for you to come up with that thing, I know, let's stop it. We need to start from there. So we need to come up with a way you stop the movement of them, which is really impossible. We have bigger problems, right? So we say. So
Yeah.
now, who do we blame? The ghetto youth, because the ghetto youth is taking drugs. Is the ghetto youth the only person that's taking drugs in Zimbabwe?
Dara. That is an age that will be an age-long debate today, and I really don't have time for that anymore. Because
Exactly.
my schedule has got limits today.
Let me make my point. So let's move on from that. So because now we have exposed the ghetto youth because they're taking Toriro, every other person, like we're talking about the northern suburbs, they're taking it in a very smart way because they'll be in their yards.
Yeah, true.
Right?
I know speaking about Denver.
My bong,
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then it's fancy.
electrical, what?
And because mkomano eba ghetto youth ango kanya bodo rock ango daiso lonze ama drugs. You know?
Yeah.
I think we need to look at the root problem for us to now see how best we can do it. That's why I was like, we're talking about drug abuse these days, it's on the rise, but everyone else is doing it. Everyone else is doing it. But why? And then how best can we regulate it? How best can we and okay, the controversial one now. Is there a good way of taking drugs? No, just a question. Is there a good way?
The question.
Personally, I'm not a drug user, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure there are decent recreational ways to,
To
not to take drugs.
I mean,
Oh, I know it's a difficult question, but then is there a good way of taking it?
no, it's
No.
drugs. It's bad.
It's a drug. It's bad, bro. Bad.
Exactly. So if it's bad, then we have to, so the drug abuse part, right? Because it's a drug. But then when abused, then it's bad. But it's normally not bad. It's meant for a certain thing.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see what you're
Do you
saying.
see? I know I'm a very
It's the
controversial
abuse
individual. It's the abuse of.
Unogona kupiwa. Yeah.
Unokwanisa kutopuwa, yoshanda for a certain thing.
Yeah.
For a certain
I
thing.
was
Like right now,
actually-
the people that have got medicinal marijuana, it works for anxiety and certain things.
Yeah.
So there's certain, so people just don't know. We need the knowledge about these things because now people just
Let's
started
get
now
educated.
taking it. Let's get education on it because now people are taking it because they know, this one makes you sleep. There are good drugs that make you sleep because if you have insomnia, you're gonna take a certain drug for you to sleep.
But
So
also,
certain-
because I agree with you. I agree with you because even these pharmaceutical companies will sell you a drug, right, which is not weed, and be like, pizza anxiety, pizza ningirigini. But
Yes.
I mean, they're not natural, right? You need some natural
Yeah.
herb. You know what I mean?
No, but not everything is natural. Look at everyone right now is running to get a vaccine. Is that natural?
No, definitely not.
So not
That
everything.
vaccine right, Jack Amdara. But like you're
Okay.
saying, my antidepressants right now, my antipsychotic drugs, but dombo, my antipsychotic drug. I could treat a rampant in Zimbabwe food. So these are drugs that are supposed to be used, kind of zaku, wakutwanya to relax you, to what they used by and this prescription. But now you're finding people say drug this is how
Guys,
it's always been.
in I think when it comes to the efforts on fighting drugs, like there are a lot of things that can be done to fight it, be it by society, by law enforcement, by friends, family, and all that. But of course, I'm going to ask again the viewers to help us out because we have shared what we think is best, and I feel like we've dwelled on 3 or 4 specific items. So please share a little bit more what you feel is important in terms of in the fight against drugs, right? I just would Ana Pablo Escobar later, but anyways, so
I guess I'm Pablo. Hey, go run it big.
I got to big. But then
Big.
still in segment 2, and I want to keep this part short because I still have one more segment I want to get into, and I need to keep this one very short. Yeah. I'm a researched person, bro. So this section is now about what could you say? Munam Riyab and Wabudam Riyab. You're now a new man. You feel you're a new man. So I want to talk about dealing with relapse, right? A relapse is when obviously you wabuda and you start doing drugs again, right? And got stress what are the methods that I've realized that some people use to deal with relapse include issues such as reaching out. When una sponsor wako or your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your cousin, whoever you're comfortable talking to. So the way and I'm not comfortable, help me. And then they will try and help you. There are also situations whereby you avoid the triggers. For example, work stress. Like stress or not a good trigger could my drugs. Either you leave the job or you go talk to your human resources manager, like stress is alcohol, or you tell your family. And of course, the other one, which is the biggest one, is disassociation from the community or the friends that lead you to that, which is always the biggest problem because friends are the ones that usually peer pressure, Tonga, especially in our
Really,
community.
highly strong.
Could you squad type of vibe, right? So what are your thoughts and what are your ideas on dealing with relapse? And again, please try and keep it short. I will give you one answer each on this one.
All right, cool.
But you can go first because
I think I think on nyaye ye-ku-relapse. So you've got a situation where when you've gone through rehab, I'm pretty sure they give you tools on how to deal and manage your addiction, right? And it's one of those where you have to um adapt. Yes, there it is. You need to adapt to a new way of living. Ungawajara ka life kako kuita this and this and this, and this is how you do your things, and then the drugs came into that, and that became the normal life. My assumption would be when you go to rehab, you want to change. You want to improve your quality of life. I think that's what it is about going to rehab and trying to change your life. You want to improve your quality of life, meaning that you want to adapt to a new life that does not include these drugs or whatever the case may be. So I think the main thing is that adaptation. Looking at a situation where you create an environment for yourself. This is also very difficult because, like, if you look at it in Zim, it's difficult for you to go into rehab, and then with the same problems and same issues, and you fall down the exact same trap. So it's about creating a new environment and a completely different reality for yourself, so that you don't fall into the same trap again. I think that's for me. It's that simple or that difficult because it's also not easy to do something like that.
True. Kudzi, what are your thoughts on this? Dealing with relapse.
I think it's a matter of knowing it's a the time is running out, right?
I know, right? I'm like, we're not even done yet. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
It's a matter of
like, what?
Yeah,
I'm confused
already.
I mean, it's a matter of really, it's a very difficult one too, because you see a lot of people falling off and going back and doing it again, because it's you need really a great support system there. You need a great support system that can allow you to also know that during a relapse, you can also use and not stop, and not stop, or also really going through. Because normally, if you don't have a great support system during the relapse, you're going to have the temptation. If you use it, doesn't mean that you're going to continue using it. You need a great support system that helps you stop. Because normally, if you are saying, okay, I've stopped, and then you use it, you're probably going to tell yourself that, since I used it, it's just the same, you just kind of use it again tomorrow. Since I'm like, I'm all right. You know what I mean? So you need a great support system that can really understand that. You need a great support system that can really understand that. That's why maybe we need certain people that need to champion this drug issue. I think in our community, we need certain structures around besides family too, because family judges you a lot because of our culture.
Yeah.
You know, in as much as family is our biggest support, family judges you because they know you. You need someone that can see things from a different point of view, that can make you see reason. Maybe the family that you're thinking is a support system is the one that you're even, using drugs. So with with too. Maybe so you need a great, what that support system is, I don't know, but I think we need to create certain organizations that can, do this whole follow-up with drug users on maybe how they're progressing, and maybe, because some of them, it doesn't mean accountability. And some of it, we need to understand that if someone is using drugs today, we cannot just expect them to stop tomorrow. It's a process. It's a process. So we need some people, like a proper support system that can understand that. Because if you tell your sister that, okay, cool, I've stopped. And then she sees you tomorrow, she's going to be like, Chris has started again, and whatever. And it's just too complicated, So we need a great support system outside of our family that can support us there. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. Gentlemen, I think we've had quite a long conversation today. So I'm going to keep this last segment pretty short, as I have only one question for you guys. And this question is very relative. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced or been around somebody who abuses drugs or alcohol or whatever. What are the signs and symptoms for you that you can hint to our viewers to take note of, to see whether their friend, relative, or whatever is abusing, drugs, alcohol, whatever the case may be, and what is always the best approach? Because I know we've covered, hey, let's take care of our people, let's care enough for them, but don't forget, a drug user will never accept that they're abusing. An alcoholic will never accept that they're an alcoholic. What are the best approaches to say sha onaga wangu unenge wa nyanya mbijada, or to say or to understand the misconceptions behind the drug abuse or the alcohol abuse? I will start with you, Kudzi. I feel like people understanding and public relations and do kwako. So I'll start with you, bro.
I guess it just starts. Well, no, that's a lot of pressure, bro. It starts with just seeing people's patterns. So if someone is just doing a behavior that is really not normal, out of the ordinary, that's also one reason, right? Then you're like, no, I think this behavior is not really what you would probably, display. There's something going on. Or you can just see, I guess that is the biggest thing, I guess. But also how to approach it after knowing it is also a big thing, because you can approach it in such a way. People like that can be very defensive because you don't feel what they're feeling. So you come off as very judgy to them. So where I was going with the whole support system thing is just knowing that and also approaching it in a very right way of approaching it. You can approach it as you're using drugs. You have now moved away from your path of life. You have now strayed away. So we just need to handle it with care and know when it happens, because that's when you can actually stop it. If you approach it right. I guess that's what I can say. That's okay. Those are my comments, man.
But I need you to finish this part with a high, right? I need a bit, not a hello. I don't mean a hello. I mean I need you to give me a big punch.
Wait, let me get my lighter. You said with a high, right?
You druggy. I need you to have a punch to this question, right? It's the same question to Kudzi. Kudzi provided two scenarios and two examples. I need you to give me one or two that have that particular punch in the guts to say, look, guys, drugs are bad. Yeah, no pressure whatsoever, bro. No kukura.
So not just about pressure. All right. I think I'll stick to the one thing that was sitting on my chest the most. I think the biggest misconception about drug abuse and drug use is that it has to be serious for it to be a problem or for it to be treated. I think that's the biggest issue that we have. Unaona munhu akaumburuka on the floor akadhakwa. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's when you then decide, oh snap, Timmy has got a problem. Let's deal with this problem. But you could have picked up on this problem a year ago, before it became this level. So I think the biggest thing we need to look at when it comes to drug abuse is that it doesn't have to be severe for it to be treated, for it to be an issue. That's the first thing. And we also need to pay attention to our loved ones, pay attention to our friends, pay attention to our friends and family, so that we can see the signs before they become big problems. I think that's, for me, is probably the most important thing there. It's about giving a damn about each other, you know. So if I'm chilling here and I'm talking to Kudzi every single day, and I don't pick up that this dude actually has a problem, and even if I do pick up on it, I don't have the guts to tell him that, yo, bro, I think you've got a problem and you need to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
just because he's got a problem, needs to be spoken about. So
yeah.
that's where I'm coming from in that point.
Exactly. And for me, in my closing statement, when it comes to this part, the misconceptions and everything, I'm just going to build on what you, Kudzi and Batsi, said, is that at the end of the day, let's not wait, or let's not prompt or help people to say, hey, have you experimented on this? Don't leave a room for experimentation, because experimentation leads to that addiction. It leads to that drug abuse. So let's try to always maintain a positive vibe around our peers, around our friends, around our families, and not be the ones who are said to have that peer pressure, right? Because at the end of the day, one experimental puff or line or whatever is going to be the root cause of that addiction. So as a people, we need to learn to teach each other the right things, the positive ways in life, the positive ways to manage with societal pressures, the positive ways to deal with societal pressures like this. To say drugs are bad, period.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to tell you anything else. Drugs are bad.
Let's
Right.
give it damn. Yeah.
Let's give it down to our folk, and drugs are bad. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say thank you so much for spending a longer period today listening to my very, very sweet voice. I sing soprano sometimes, but I would like to thank you so much for spending some time listening to us. And I will ask.
You have a problem.
Yeah, you have a problem.
I would like to ask Batsi to remind people how to do it on YouTube, and I will ask Kudzi to remind people how to do it on Spotify and Facebook. Batsi, you go, brother.
Subscribe, guys. Just go onto YouTube, you know, and then just click the subscribe button. It's the red thing. It's very easy
And
to see.
and
So
the
yeah,
ringing,
guys, subscribe.
and
And
the ring.
then the notification bell. Ging, 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 every time we drop something new. So yeah, please guys, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us everywhere else.
Kudzi, bring it.
And just know we have a new time right now, which is 7 p.m. Central African time every Thursday. This is going to be live on Facebook and YouTube. And you know us, we always upload it on Spotify if you want to listen to us whilst you're driving. Very dope. But we're also on Apple Podcasts and and all these other platforms too, right? So,
Anchor.
but the biggest thing, like what Batsi said, subscribe to YouTube. Tell your buddies to do that. Tell your small houses. Tell your friends. Tell your sisters, your brothers to also subscribe to Brothers with Voices on YouTube. We might be talking about you next week.
Yes.
I love this closing. I'm going to keep this closing for every other episode that I do. Ladies and gentlemen,
We
with
might
love
be talking about
and no to drug abuse, I would like to say, ladies and gentlemen, have a good evening, have a good afternoon, and have a good morning. Peace out from the brothers.